Well, Carmen and Mauricio, both of you, thank you for having me. I'll tell you what, the other night we talked about in our advisory groups, the word listen came up. And I think that's the most important thing we can do is listen and to learn what's happening in the Latino community, the African-American community, the Muslim community, the Jewish community, and AAPI community. So I work with advisory groups in all of those because without your input, I can't help. I can't be the helpful that I want. I can't do what I want to do. So I really appreciate, and the questions here are always helpful. And our staff, takes a lot of information. I'm actually in Philadelphia at a trustee meeting for the Wharton School of Business, where I'm on the graduate board. So I had to run out of the meeting. So my phones were about dead. They just got me a charger, so I was a minute late. But so as you all know, I love business. And I love businessman way more than politics. And, I've always loved the chambers of commerce. I was a member of the Montgomery County Chamber and a trustee myself for many, many years, decades we've been members. So the chambers are the backbone, what keeps America going, and that's jobs and business. And I just think I want to give you one statistic. Right now, 4.65 million Hispanic-owned businesses in the U.S. It's unbelievable. I mean, the fastest growing segment of small business is Hispanic. And that's not that big a surprise to me, to be honest with you. And that's a big win for everybody on this call. And it's a credit to all the work you do to help nurture entrepreneurship. And that's what they're talking about. A lot of the meeting here all day today at Wharton is how do we create not just business people, but entrepreneurs. And they can really, create jobs. So in a quick update, most importantly, we finally passed the budget.
Go on.
Can you believe, Carmen, can you believe that?
No, I thought that was going to drag on forever. I'm so pleased. Thank you.
So for most of us in business, our budget starts like, January to January. We kind of do it ahead of time, but Congress, the budget starts October 1 to October 1, which is okay. But we don't pass it until March. So that meant this whole time we worked on the Trump budget. We used the Trump budget the whole time. So all the Trump priorities are what got funded, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm on the Appropriations Committee now, which I think is the most powerful committee without question in Congress. So we're already working on the 23 budget. So right now, that's what I was with my staff yesterday. We had like a 5-hour meeting before I drove to Philadelphia last night. And we're on the 23 budget, but we finally got the 22 budget done. But a lot of great things in expanding childcare. I mean, if our, moms, can't find childcare, it's impossible right now. And the childcare workers you can't find enough folks to staff those early learning programs. A lot of money is in a budget for those areas, and trying to make home ownership also more accessible, a big piece. We talked the other day about the community funded projects, and I really want to stress to our team here on the phone that we need you to work with Sonny, Taylor, Sarah on ideas you have, and we can find, being on the driver's seat, the propes, we can see the budget niches, the accounts where we can work to get money to help in our community funded projects. And last year, we were able to fund 10 different projects. This year, the number is going to be 15. And, we were able to get millions and millions of dollars. We got over 500,000 for South Germantown for the rec park. We got $1 million for broadband center right there in Montgomery County on training. We got another 300,000 in Montgomery County for the Everminds telehealth expansion. Up in Frederick, the Asian Community Center with Elizabeth Chang, I got $1.5 million for that. And, for Elizabeth. But these are things when we get good, support from the community, if you help me know what to advocate, I know all the chairwomen, I know all the chairmen, I know the subcommittee leads, they're all on my committee. So we know everybody. And, because I'm a networker, man. I love the network. And so we need you to help put together the case. But, this is the chance to bring home things that can really help folks and in their community, in our community here. And otherwise, some nameless bureaucrat tells us what's needed in Montgomery County. And they don't know Adam from, Montgomery County for a can of beans. So we really need your help. The other thing I wanted to mention was specifically that help the Hispanic Latino communities is $5 million more were in the budget toward biomedical and behavioral research for minority institutions, $55 million for the Minority Business Development Agency, supporting minority businesses. But we know minority businesses are what drives the American economy. First, second generation, I said it, a broken record. I'm a broken record because I understand business backwards and forward. It's new people with diverse ideas, and that's our community right here. That diversity of ideas is what's creating those jobs, and that's what's creating the Fortune 500 companies, 40% of them by first and second gen immigrants. That's why immigration has to get fixed one day. I'm not there now, but I want to turn to it. As soon as we get behind mental health and addiction in a better position. We're also got $183 million in this budget, which is a $34 million increase to Hispanic serving institutions on education. So, the budget was good. I think the 23 budget is going to be even better. President Biden has put forth a lot of, good suggestions. It just came out 3 days ago. We're working on it now. Quickly, the bipartisan infrastructure bill. It's like, why can't we get, Carmen, an immigration bill passed? And I mentioned this the other day in the call. It's because when I have an idea to do one thing in immigration, they say, we're not going to do it. We want a comprehensive package. Then I'm saying, well, when are you going to do that? And they say, well, we want to get that done, but when? And you can't get any wins out of anybody. I mean, in business, you have urgency, you have intensity. You want to push, man, and get over the finish line. That's right. But this place operates at a really bad pace. And so, this bipartisan infrastructure bill, it's been 30 years since something like this passed. Finally got it done, bipartisan. And so it's, 1.2 trillion. And the biggest thing I love about it is broadband. Yeah. Everybody's going to be able to get affordable broadband. And if our community has affordable broadband that's 5G and fast, it's going to happen. The money's there, been passed, $65 billion just for broadband. That's going to give our folks in our community do better telehealth, mental health, teleeducation, and of course, telework. So that's the future. The future is getting ahead, knowing this broadband is coming. Of course, the infrastructure bill invests in public transportation, repairing roads, bridges, airports, climate change. $6 billion goes to Maryland. $6 billion. So it's going to generate a lot of good paying jobs. So that's the big piece of news. Second piece of news, addiction, mental health. Everybody in this call knows I'm driven and I am focused and I am relentless on addiction and mental health. These are the two things I lead Congress in. That's where I lost the phone. Sorry, it fell right down because it's plugged in. And plug that thing and make it sit straighter. Now I have a little bit of battery. I'm at 25%. I'm good. and addiction, last year at the CDC, we lost 105,000 folks. Brothers, sisters, uncles, cousins, 105,000 folks. Stanford estimates in this decade, we're going to lose 1.2 million Americans. This hits every one of us, white, black, and brown. We're all affected, all levels of America. 1.2 million in this 10 years. So we got to turn the curve. We got to bend the curve. And our bipartisan addiction and mental health task force, which I'm co-chair, and put together for my freshman group from last term. We had 70 bills in now, all bipartisan. And next week, we have a whole week in energy and commerce, all dedicated addiction and mental health, the whole week in energy and commerce. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens by being, relentless and just not taking no for an answer. And 2 nights ago, I sat with the chairman of Energy and Commerce, Frank Pallone, and Mr. Steny Hoyer, and we had a pep talk about how important these are. And Mr. Pallone agrees, and he's, on board, and we're really pleased that we're making some headway. The other thing that we came out, we just finished, is I just finished over a year of work as co-chair of the Commission on Combating Synthetic Opioid Trafficking. So Speaker Pelosi appointed me to that. There's one Republican appointed by McCarthy. Senator Markey from Massachusetts was appointed, and Tom Carper from Arkansas. So 4 members, 2 senators, 2 congressmen, outside experts, 4, and then all 7 agencies of government, Treasury, DOD, DEA, intelligence community. And we spent a year with literally 100 hearings, meetings, classified briefings, going to Mexico, going to the border, and trying to understand fentanyl and how we killed 105 Americans, 1,000 last year. I met just yesterday or 2 days ago with the Chinese ambassador. He read my report. It was very critical of some things that China has done. The ambassador called me and said, I want to sit with you, Mr. Trone. So he came to my office, sat with me with 3 of his folks, and we talked about it. And the State Department briefed me so I could speak with one voice for the State Department and the Office of National Drug Control, and establish a rapport with the ambassador, connectivity, and explain to him how it's important for China to take steps on the precursor chemicals and what goodwill that will help in the U.S., and how we can get China to help us on the money laundering that their nationals are doing with the cartels, because the cartels don't understand that computer and the money laundering that the Chinese are doing. So, but the commission put together a roadmap of 76 recommendations, bipartisan, everyone's agreed. So we're working on that now, and we're moving, creating laws around all that. So, we also have a comprehensive mental health in schools project we're passing. Our kids and mental health in isolation on a computer all day. It's hurt our kids, set them back. The mental health of our children right now from age 5 to 17 is the worst it's ever been in America. They're suffering depression and anxiety. It's up 31%. It's mind-boggling. So these are issues we can be just good people about. That's what it is. It's Democrats, it's Republicans, just all good people want to work on mental health and addiction. And that's what we're trying to do. And last thing I'll mention before we'll take question is, we've got an election coming up, and what we got to do is work on how we're going to win. And on a national basis, it's inflation and gas prices and in food prices are really hurting us. Congress has cut the deficit last year by $360 billion. This year we'll cut it by about $1 trillion, and that helps keep our debt down. But we need to get a handle on gas prices. President Biden's talking about, and I don't know if he did it today, I haven't heard the news, releasing 1 million gallons every day. The whole Ukraine situation has exacerbated this. But, we've got to get more clean energy. But gas pricing is driving inflation, and we can see it in our trucking costs and, all the costs that we have across the country. And folks that are working men and women, they're paying the brunt of this. It's a regressive type of attacks when you raise gas prices. The working folks who are in the lower to middle income, who have to drive a car to work, can't just work from home. They have to drive a vehicle. They're the ones paying the price here. And so we've got to figure out ways that we can work on this. I know the president understands it. He's on it. The last thing I mentioned is the America Competes Act. That was addressed at China. The ambassador complained to me about it. He says, how could you do that? I said, well, I already passed the House. He knows I voted for it. But it puts $42 billion into helping our supply chain challenges and helping us compete. And of course, Ukraine is a train wreck. It sucked all the oxygen out of the room, and which President Biden's unity agenda, when he was done talking about the State of the Union, his unity agenda was the number one and number two things, coincidentally, or maybe not so much, were my number one and number two things: addiction and mental health. That's what the president said in the State of the Union address. And when Ukraine reaches some sort of a stability, he's going to turn help across our country, and it affects all of our communities, addiction and mental health. So I love to take some questions.